Now, Huffington Post senior military correspondent David Wood. David, thank you so much for your time. Again, we greatly appreciate it.
Good morning, Tamron.
So again, as we pointed out, some tough races ahead for some Democrats, and we're hearing tougher language now directed at the president, very similar to what we've heard from Republicans over the past few days, criticizing the president's strategy.
Yeah, well, you notice that the critics of the president and the president's supporters are all pretty much in agreement about what can be done against ISIS. Begin with the airstrikes, but here's the problem. Over time, those airstrikes become less and less effective as ISIS learns how to avoid them, to go to camouflage. We saw really early on, for example, that they were using tanks that they'd stolen from the Iraqi army. Now they've stopped using tanks because they're such big, obvious targets. So over time, the U.S. airstrikes are going to become less and less effective, and then it will be time to do something else. But
right now, and to your point, yes, perhaps over time, but right now these airstrikes have been effective.
Yeah, I think they've been effective in certainly making ISIS aware that it's got a determined enemy against it. But again, it's quite easy for a guerrilla army to avoid being decimated by airstrikes. You can disperse, you can hide. I mean, look at what Hamas did against the Israelis in Gaza. Horrible as it sounds, they survived by hiding within the civilian population. So there's all kinds of things that ISIS can do to blunt the effect of U.S. airstrikes, and then again, we're faced with having to do something else.
How critical is this meeting the president has today with King Abdullah and other key allies here?
Well, I think it's very critical. It's telling that the president is leaving a meeting of NATO and going to talk to the Jordanians because I think the answer to ISIS is not going to come from NATO. For one thing, the European public is dead set against NATO doing anything outside NATO's immediate territory of Europe and North America. So there's a real problem there. I think also that the Jordanians need to be reassured that we will stand by them. They're right on the firing line, and so that's a critical ally.
All right, David, thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate it. Now let me